Hello, dear friends. Today we're diving into one of the most mysterious and exciting subjects that has captivated the minds of philosophers, mystics, and surprisingly, modern scientists for centuries. We are going to talk about the influence of thought on matter, a concept that may forever change your perception of yourself and the world around you. Have you ever wondered why the same scenarios seem to repeat in your life? Why some people appear to achieve success easily, while others constantly face hurdles? The answer to this might lie not in mysticism or blind luck, but in the unseen yet powerful force we constantly generate, our thought. For a long time, the idea that thought could affect physical reality was considered science fiction or esoteric belief. But over the last 100 years, thanks to revolutionary discoveries in quantum physics and the latest research in neuroscience, this concept has gained compelling scientific support. Thoughts truly can be material. Today we're taking an exciting journey. We'll start with the fundamentals of quantum mechanics, discuss the famous observer effect and the double-slit experiment, examine studies on psychokinesis, and conclude with practical takeaways on how to learn to use this incredible power of your consciousness to create the life you desire. I promise it will be deep, scientifically grounded, and incredibly inspiring. To understand how thought can influence matter, we need to descend to the most basic, fundamental level of reality, the quantum world. The quantum world is the realm of atoms and subatomic particles, which fundamentally differs from our familiar macro reality. In classical physics, everything is predictable. If you throw a ball with a specific force and angle, we know exactly where it will land. But at the quantum level, different laws apply, the laws of probability and potential. Everything around us, the table, your body, the air, is composed of atoms. And here is the first shocking fact. An atom is 99.9999999% empty space. A tiny nucleus is surrounded by an electron cloud. In fact, matter as we know it is almost entirely concentrated energy and information. As Einstein stated, E equals mc squared, meaning matter and energy are two sides of the same coin, capable of converting into one another. This forces us to reevaluate our entire worldview. If matter is merely concentrated energetic potential, then what is thought? Modern science, specifically neurophysiology, tells us that thought is an electrical impulse and a magnetic field generated by the brain. Essentially, every thought you have creates an electromagnetic wave. Thought is the electrical language of the brain, and emotion is the chemical, magnetic language of the body. When you think and feel the same thing, for example, thinking about health and feeling joy, you create a coherent electromagnetic field that extends out into the space beyond your body. If the world is made of energy and thought is energy, isn't it logical to assume that the energy of thought can interact with the energy that constitutes the world? The most vivid and perhaps most debated scientific evidence for a possible link between consciousness and matter comes from the double-slit experiment. This is one of the most famous experiments in the history of physics, demonstrating the strange nature of the quantum world. The essence of the experiment is simple. 1. When light or electrons are fired through a single slit, they create one band on the screen behind it, behavior characteristic of particles, like tennis balls. 2. When they are fired through two slits, but without observation of their trajectory, an interference pattern appears on the screen, multiple bands, as if the waves of light or electrons passed through both slits simultaneously and interacted with each other. This is wave behavior. And here is where the most interesting part begins, the part that sparked conversations about the role of consciousness. 3. If a device, a detector, is set up to find out exactly which slit the electron passed through, the wave behavior instantly disappears. The electrons start behaving like particles, passing through only one slit, and only two bands appear on the screen, just like with tennis balls. This phenomenon is called the observer effect. The electron is in a state of superposition, simultaneously existing in all possible states, i.e., passing through both slits, until a measurement or observation occurs. At the moment of observation, its wave function collapses and it chooses one specific state, becoming a particle in a concrete location. Physicists debate the exact nature of this observation. Some believe that it is not consciousness itself, but the physical interaction, for example, the photons needed for measurement or the measuring device itself, that changes the system. However, a number of other scientists and interpretations, such as the Copenhagen interpretation, do not exclude that it is the informational act, the very fact of knowing, that changes reality. The electron does not know where it is until we know it. And as soon as we gain information through observation, the potential turns into actuality. If even the simplest particles that make up our world depend on the intention to obtain information, which is an act of consciousness, in order to become matter, then this implies that consciousness plays a fundamental, active, and not passive role in shaping reality. If the link between consciousness and quantum matter seems too abstract, let's move on to what happens inside our body. Here, the influence of thought on matter is proven and undeniable. Your brain is not a static organ. It possesses incredible neuroplasticity, the ability to change its structure and function in response to experience, learning, and, most importantly, directed thought. In one of many studies, Dr. Joe Dispenza and other scientists conducted experiments where volunteers were divided into two groups. 1. The first group physically trained a specific muscle, for example, their fingers. 2. The second group only mentally pictured themselves performing the exercise without making any physical movement. The results were astonishing. The first group increased muscle strength by about 30%. The second group, who only thought about the exercise, increased muscle strength by about 22%. The brain essentially sees little difference between a real physical experience and a vividly imagined mental experience. Mental practice creates the exact same neural connections in the motor cortex as the actual action. What you think literally changes the physical structure of your brain. The most striking example of the influence of thought on matter in medicine is the placebo effect. A patient is given a dummy pill, a sugar pill, convinced it is a powerful medicine. And if the patient believes in it, their body physically initiates healing mechanisms and their condition improves. This is not magic. It is the power of belief. The thought of recovery triggers chemical reactions, the release of neurotransmitters and hormones that physically change the state of the body. There is also the reverse, the nocebo effect. When a person believes that a medicine or situation will harm them, their body physically worsens its condition. Fear and negative expectations can cause real physical symptoms. Our beliefs become biological reality. Moving to the external world, we encounter the concept of psychokinesis or telekinesis, the ability to influence physical objects through the power of thought. This is an area traditionally classified as parapsychology, but one that has also been the subject of serious, though controversial, scientific investigation. One of the most famous and long-running projects dedicated to this topic was PEAR, Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research, which existed from 1979 to 2007 at Princeton University. At the PEAR lab, they studied the influence of human intention on random number generators, RNGs. RNGs are devices that generate sequences of zeros and ones based on purely random quantum processes. Logically, in a sufficiently large sample, there should be about 50% zeros and 50% ones. In the experiments, volunteers were asked to deliberately focus on making the device generate more ones or more zeros. In the vast majority of cases, the deviations from pure randomness were small, but statistically significant. That is, across millions of trials, there was a stable, albeit fractional percentage, increase in the desired number, zeros or ones, when the operator intended it. The conclusion: human consciousness or intention could exert a small but measurable influence on purely random quantum processes. This isn't Hollywood telekinesis, moving furniture, but it is micro-psychokinesis, the alteration of matter at the most basic level. In the context of this research and neurophysiology data, the hypothesis arises that thought is an energy field that is not confined to our skull. Thought, electricity, creates a field, magnetism. This field carries information, our intention. This informational field can interact with the quantum field that constitutes all reality, introducing order, non-randomness, consistent with our intention. Essentially, thought acts like a tuning fork. It sends a specific frequency into the surrounding world. And because the quantum world responds to information, your field attracts events and objects vibrating at the same frequency. The coherence between your thoughts, frequency, and emotions, energy, amplifies this signal. This is the basis of the law of attraction concept, but viewed through the lens of quantum mechanics. So, if science, even if cautiously, at the level of hypotheses and quantum strangeness, acknowledges that thought is not passive but an active, shaping force, how do we use it? The first and most crucial step is to realize that you are not your thoughts. Thoughts come and go. They are a product of your brain, which functions as a generator. You are the observer who can choose which thoughts to focus on. If you constantly think about lack of money, health, love, you send a lack signal into your quantum field. Your reality, like a loyal servant, returns the same to you. If you purposefully and emotionally focus on well-being, health, and abundance, you begin to generate a coherent field for a new reality. As we said, thought is an electrical signal, intention, and emotion is a magnetic charge, the energy that attracts. If you think, I want to be rich, thought, but internally feel, I will never achieve it, emotion, you send a contradictory signal. The quantum field, in essence, responds, no coherence, no result. The key to creating reality is coherence. Learn to create thoughts about your desired future, accompanying them with high positive emotions, joy, gratitude, love, anticipation. The most effective tools for training directed thought, meditation. This allows you to stop the automatic, chaotic stream of thoughts that is usually dictated by past experience. It creates the inner silence and neural connectivity needed to become a clean transmitter of intention. Visualization. This is not just daydreaming. It is the active, emotionally rich immersion into the desired future. When you visualize, you essentially activate the same neural networks that would be activated if the event were actually happening. You prepare your brain and body to accept a new reality. Our negative beliefs, absorbed in childhood or formed from unsuccessful experiences, are deep in the subconscious and act as a counteracting psi filter. They are the very blocking beliefs that generate an undesirable electromagnetic field. Working with thought is, first and foremost, the work of identifying and neutralizing these subconscious programs. You must realize, create the information that you are worthy, that you are healthy, that you are capable. This new awareness, like the observation in the double-slit experiment, destroys the old wave function, the potential for failure, and shapes the new, desired reality, success. Friends, we started with ancient philosophical sayings about the materiality of thought and arrived at the discoveries of quantum physics and neurobiology, which, albeit cautiously, confirm this idea. We have seen that at the most basic level, reality is flexible and responds to the act of observation. We learned that our body physically changes in response to what we believe, and we understood that our intention, supported by emotion, is capable of influencing even the most random events in the external world. The influence of thought on matter is not just a beautiful saying, it is a profound scientific, philosophical, and spiritual principle that calls us to responsibility for our inner world. If your thoughts and emotions create your electromagnetic field, which in turn shapes your life, then it means you are the constant creator of your reality. Incredible powers in your hands. You are not just a passive observer in this world, you are an active participant and co-creator. Start today by treating your thoughts as commands you send to the quantum field and your emotions as the energy that puts those commands into action. Our deep dive ends here. Thank you so much for your attention and for being with me on this incredible journey from atoms to consciousness. Your attention, your comments, your likes, and your subscription are the very energy that allows this channel to grow and explore the most fascinating topics. If you enjoyed this content, please share it so that more people can realize their incredible power. Write in the comments what you think about the influence of consciousness on matter and what aspect of this topic you would like us to explore in the next episode. See you soon, and remember, your world is a mirror of your thoughts. Choose your thoughts wisely